Okay, good afternoon, everybody. We are here live in Ferndale at Ambrosini Lane, where some very intense flooding has bombarded, taken over Ambrosini Lane, and an entire neighborhood here of houses are unable to move down the road unless they have a four-wheel drive truck and some large tires. So we're going to speak with a neighbor here at Ambrosini Lane, and then before the water recedes too much longer or too much more, we're going to get in a truck and drive down the road to show you exactly how bad it is. Okay, so we're going to talk with Ann here, who lives right here on Ambrosini Lane, and she's been dealing with this for a number of years. Hi, Ann.
Hi.
Hi. Okay, so we were called out today to look at this in person, and I'm told that it kind of comes and goes, right? With the flow of the creek has jumped its bank, so to speak, and now just runs right down the road.
It does that with almost every storm, especially if it's over an inch. We can count on something like this happening. And when you have the atmospheric rivers, it's very exciting.
Wow, okay. And then the other part of this is just not just water. I'm understanding that there's quite a bit of mud that then makes other problems in the roads and in yards and in driveways and sometimes in areas where you need to be pulling in and out of, right?
Oh, that's true. The silt and the silt is unpredictable. It'll settle differently in different storms. So it's not predictable. You can't go, well, I'm going to dig here and that'll take care of it. It might for that storm, but the next storm will come along and dump silt in another place. So it's very unpredictable.
Okay, and then, so how long have you been living here that this has been happening for you in your experience?
I would say 25, maybe 30 years. I will say that when we first moved in here in the early 80s, it could storm all it wanted to and there was no problem.
Okay. And then right now, I'm just going to look because there's just like this active flow going down the street. I hope people can see that. But when we get in the truck, it'll be much more obvious to people. I was shocked as I was getting a ride down here because my car, there's no way my car would make it down here. So having been lifted over here with the truck, I found it shocking, the amount of water that was just sort of pouring through the road. Almost had to put it into four-wheel drive there for a minute.
It is scary sometimes when I drive. If the creek will come up or the water will come up and I'm in town, visiting or volunteering, my husband actually had to come and tell me to come home one time, and on the way home that time, my car actually the water actually pushed it, and if it had pushed it just another foot, I would have been in a ditch with water pouring over me, and although I would have survived, it would have been a dangerous situation. I mean, it can be dangerous.
Like while you were driving?
Yes, while I was driving. That's happened more than once, but that was the last time, and it was the worst time.
Wow, and how long ago was that? Ish.
2 weeks.
Okay, so not that long ago.
Yeah, not that long ago.
Wow, okay, and it's hard to see any ditch because it's filled with water right now. But yeah, as Randy was driving us down here to get a look at this, he did say, gosh, if we went into that ditch, we'd be stuck. So it's pretty deep?
It is pretty deep, and it's very muddy. It's not just the water, it is the silt and the mud that would just make it, for me at least, in my little car, it would be impossible to get out.
Right. And then, curious about the root cause of this. What is the theory? Like, do we know where the water's coming from and why it's coming this way?
Well, there are lots of theories, and I hesitate to say exactly what the cause is. It's actually just a bunch of things. It's Mother Nature, changing agriculture. It's many things, but we were hoping to get the Williams Creek connection to the Salt River, and 2 neighbors have stopped that happening. They say they don't want any. They don't want to have the Salt River project coming across their land, and that would alleviate this a lot. They did have plans to work on Williams Creek and connect it with the Salt River, but that's been stopped. We can't do anything about that.
Okay, so then a little bit of background about the Salt River project for people who don't know, maybe people not from Ferndale or not in the loop.
Well, I can understand that. Salt River used to be a major water course here in Ferndale that led out at Port Kenyon, and Port Kenyon at one time was a very active, busy port, and the ships came up, took out potatoes and dairy products, and slowly over the years it has silted in, and that's one of the causes of the serious flooding on more than Ambrosini Lane. And so the Salt River project worked to renew the flow of the water and connections of the water so that the flooding wouldn't be a problem except in very unusual years. And the plan was to get Williams Creek and perhaps some other creeks hooked up to that too, so that the whole drainage system would work like it did in the old days.
I see. Okay. And speaking of old days, you were mentioning that the 64 flood...
Williams Creek did not flood during the 64 flood.
Thank you for that. Right. And Williams Creek, in proximity to where we are now, is where? It's about, 50 feet that way? Oh, okay. Yep. So, over there.
30 years, go on for another 30.
Okay. Okay, so I guess with that, if you have anything else to add, I guess I did want to ask you what kind of recourse were you hoping for from county officials, and what have they said?
Well, the Salt River project has come to a standstill as far as I know.
Okay.
We haven't gotten any help from the county. The RCD, the HCRCD, was very interested in helping us, but because they couldn't get permission to continue across those 2 pieces of property I told you about, the funding dried up, and I don't know if they can help us now anyway. I don't know if they have the funds for it. And so, yeah, and it's a serious situation. Like I said, we have lots of old people here. I'm one of them, and we can't sell our houses. If we wanted to leave, we have neighbors that want to move around their children. They cannot sell their houses
because of the
flooding. Yeah, and no house on Ambrosini Lane has sold for a very, very long time.
Okay, and then there was also, Randy was mentioning, when it does flood this way, it appears that it would be very difficult, if not impossible, for an ambulance, for example, to make its way safely, or even very far. I'm not sure.
Especially if it were in the evening or at night, it would be almost impossible to tell where the ditches are. But yes, I have been told that too by a person who really knows about it, and Randy knows about it because he's on the fire department. But I have been told by other people that sending emergency vehicles up here would be risky.
It does seem like a safety concern just on our way up the road here, with the 4-wheel drive and the truck barely making it through the mud and kind of fighting against the current, which was shocking.
It is shocking, yeah.
Yeah, I can see that a regular ambulance, short of a fire truck, would have a hard time.
Yes, it would. It could easily get caught in the ditch and have to have some other rescue come down.
Further rescue happen. A rescue for the rescue.
A rescue for the rescuers, right.
Okay. Any further thoughts, Anne? I know this is overwhelming.
It is overwhelming and it's very discouraging. I hope that somehow or another the community can work together to solve this problem, because it will take the whole community to solve this problem.
Right. Well, I did get some video on my way up the road here, so in the off chance that it has receded enough that it's doesn't appear as scary as it was, I do have the earlier video from about half an hour ago or so, so that'll be posted as well for people to review that. And yeah, keep us posted. Anything happens out here, we will like to know about that.
Okay, thanks.
Sure. Okay. All right, guys, we're gonna get in the truck now and head out. We're gonna go down the road and see how
We're gonna go into town too. Let me get my purse.
So we're taking an adventure here. It's gonna be a live adventure. I'm bringing everybody with me. Here we go. Bear with me for 1 second, everybody. Here we go.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you for taking the time
we
to
need
chat.
all the help we can get. Thank you.
Thank you, Anne. discharging, and yeah, water goes wherever it wants. So now that we're back here into Ferndale proper, I'm going to shut down the live stream. Everybody, thank you for joining us today in Ferndale, and stay tuned to Redheaded Blackbelt at kimkemp.com for more information, and we will keep you posted.